Chapter 2 Dumb Miss Daisy and Principal Klutz. Miss Daisy said it was time for us to clear off our desks and see how much we knew about arithmetic. Ugh. If I gave you 58 apples and Principal Klutz took 28 of them away, Miss Daisy asked, how many apples would you have left? AJ. Who would care? How many apples would you have left? I said. I hate apples. If you ask me, you and Principal Klutz can take all the apples away and it wouldn't bother me one bit. You would have 30 apples, said that girl Andrea Young in front of the class. She had a big smile on her face, like she had just opened all her birthday presents. Andrea Young thinks she's so smart. I hate arithmetic, I announced. You know what? Miss Daisy said. I hate arithmetic too. You do? We all asked. Sure, I don't even know what you get if you multiply 4 times 4. You don't? I have no idea, Miss Daisy said, scratching her head and wrinkling up her forehead like she was trying to figure it out. Maybe one of you kids can explain it to me. Boy, Miss Daisy's really dumb. Even I know what you get when you multiply 4 times 4. But that smarty pants, I know everything girl Andrea Young beat me to it and got called on first. If you put 4 crayons in a row, she told Miss Daisy as she put a bunch of crayons on the top of her desk, and you make 4 rows of 4 crayons, you'll have 16 crayons. See? Then she counted the crayons from 1 to 16. Miss Daisy looked at the crayons on Andrea's desk. She had a puzzled look on her face. I'm not sure I understand, she said. Can somebody else explain it to me? Michael Robinson, this kid wearing a red t-shirt with a dirt bike on it, explained it 4 times 4 again, using pencils. He had 16 pencils on his desk in 4 rows of 4 pencils. Miss Daisy still had a look on her face like she didn't understand it. What would happen if you subtract half of the pencils? She said. Michael took away 2 of the rows of pencils and put them in his pencil box. Then you would have 8 pencils. We all yelled. Andrea Young added, half of 16 is 8. Miss Daisy wrinkled up her forehead until it was almost like an accordion. She still didn't get it. She started counting the pencils on Michael's desk out loud and using her fingers. She got it all wrong. She gathered around Michael's desk and tried to explain to Miss Daisy how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide numbers using the pencils. Nothing worked. Miss Daisy had to be the dumbest teacher in the history of the world. No matter how many times we tried to explain, she kept shaking her head. I'm sorry, she said. It will take me a while to understand arithmetic. Maybe you can explain it to me more tomorrow. For now, we have to clean off our desks because Principal Klutz is going to come in and talk to us. I know all about principals. My friend Billy from around the corner, who was in 2nd grade last year, told me that the principal is like the king of the school. He runs everything. Billy says that if you break the rules, you have to go to the principal's office, which is in a dungeon down in the basement. Kids in the dungeon get locked up and are forced to listen to their parents' old CD for hours. It must be horrible. Miss Daisy told us to be on our best behavior, so Principal Klutz would be how mature we were. Finally, we walked into our room. "Welcome to second grade," he said cheerfully. "I'm sure we're all going to have a wonderful year together." Principal Klutz said a lot of stuff about the rules of the school. We're not allowed to run in the halls, and we're not allowed to chew gum, stuff like that. But I wasn't listening very closely because I kept staring at his head. His head was no hair at all. I mean, none. His head looked like a giant egg. When Principal Klutz was done telling us the rules of the school, he asked anybody had any questions about what he had said. "Did all your hair fall out of your head?" I asked. "Or did you cut it off?" Everybody laughed, even though I didn't say anything funny. Miss Daisy looked at me with a mean face. "Actually, it was both," Principal Klutz replied with a chuckle. "Almost all of my hair fell out its own, so I decided to shave the rest of it." "That's the saddest story I ever heard," said this girl named Emily. Principal Klutz was a pretty funny guy for a principal. Any other questions? "Do you have a dungeon down the basement where you put the bad kids?" I asked. "Actually, the dungeon is on the 3rd floor," Principal Klutz replied. Nobody laughed at this time. He quickly told us that he was just made a joke and that he didn't even have a dungeon at all. Principal Klutz must have felt bad that he didn't think his joke was funny, because he invited us all up to the front of the room and to touch his bald head. We did, and that made everybody feel a lot better. Principal Klutz seemed nice, but a lot of people seem nice when you first met them. Then later you find out that they're evil, violent, who plan to take over the world. I bet he was lying about the dungeon.